Oh, hi everyone, Big Thinny Rush Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new Feeble Little Horse album, Girl with Fish. This is the second full-length LP from this Pittsburgh band, releasing their album over here via the legendary Omaha indie label Saddle Creek. I haven't really been into Feeble Little Horse's stuff before, but what I can say is what I'm hearing on this record is really grabbing my attention, and doing so in an interestingly subtle way. For one, a lot of the surface elements of this record run like your average homespun lo-fi indie rock affair. Super fuzzy guitars with lots of distortion, drums often buried in the back, very understated and intimately mic'd lead vocals, a lot of doubles and overdubs with those too to kind of make them sound a bit thicker. It's really the kind of thing I wouldn't normally gravitate toward these days, maybe thinking that the instrumentals were too basic, the vocals maybe came across as half-hearted. But Feeble Little Horse actually brings a lot of interesting details on this short little record, and Girl with Fish is most definitely more than just your average boilerplate bedroom rock indie stuff. I mean, first off, the sound of this record is kind of surreal and melty in the way shoegaze records often are. The instrumentals are packed with these odd little bits that I think give these songs tons of character. Whether you're talking about the track Tin Man, which yes, is a very solid tune all around, but it's made even better with these twangy, angular acoustic guitar melodies, reversed weird sound effects, and metallic extra bits of percussion flying in and out of the mix here and there. Plus these warm and blissful walls of distortion on the chorus coming from the guitars, paired with these calls vocally of "huh," which I don't think I've ever heard anybody throw a "huh" out there on an album in this genre, and yet somehow it works. Steamroller, by comparison, sonically isn't nearly as kooky, but its guitar noise and distortion and sweet little lead melodies all kind of bleed into each other into this perfectly engineered casserole of sound. It's just excellent lo-fi shoegaze vibes. It's melty, it's bright, it's crispy, and also woozy, all at the same time. I hear the My Bloody Valentine influence even more on the intro to the song Sweet, after which the band expands into something musically that I think is way more specific to them, which is cool, with more angular guitar melodies and boy-girl vocal trades, and even strangely enough breakbeats that somehow work. Then Healing is a pretty acoustic guitar number that is orbited by all of these little fragmented notes that are very pretty, all of which underscores this kind of moving and simple poem about healing and the scars that are left afterwards, physically and emotionally, after traumatic events. And then there are some songs on this record that honestly I can't even begin to describe the sounds because I'm just not really entirely sure of what their source is, or they're just so otherworldly and fuzzed out and weird that it's just kind of difficult to put into words. Be that on Station or the very climactic Finnish Heavy Water, which at points is approaching old school Phil Elverum microphones level of homespun studio trickery. But this record isn't all just like, funny sounds though. Some of the songs at their core I think are incredibly catchy. Be that on Paces, which is loaded with these sharp and chipmunked addictive lead melodies, some carefree acoustic guitar passages, and the vocal melodies pop off too. There's also the really funny and strange Pocket, which has elements to it that remind me of Kimya Dawson's music, most notably the refrains of "Do you wanna be in my pocket? Do you wanna be in my pocket?" Which, oddly enough, is not even the weirdest thing that is said on this song, or done for that matter, because all of the detuned guitar melodies are very odd, as is the false stop in the middle of the track that makes it sound like the song just ends out of nowhere before it quickly comes back with some of the harshest rushes of guitar riffs on the entire record, paired with screams of "Do you wanna be in my pocket?" The only moments on the record that I really had reservations with were the very scant intro, which, mind you, riff-wise does go hard. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the very underrated noise rock and pop record Nouns from the duo No Age. There are some kind of heightest lyrics on this track as well, which the band could definitely get canceled for. Okay, I'm kidding, but I do wish there was more to this track and that it didn't feel quite so one-dimensional, especially considering many of the other songs on this record undergo some pretty wild and interesting shifts and changes across their runtime, even though they're not all that long. The band really does pack a lot of detail into these funny little lo-fi indie shorties. The track Heaven as Well I also found to be maybe a little undercooked in comparison with everything else here. There is that funny little instrumental switch toward the back end of the track, but everything up until that point, compositionally, just seems a bit too overly simplistic given everything else that's here. But overall, this Feeble Little Horse record is awesome and rules and is sweet on the ears and fun and textured. It's catchy and creative and I think kind of refreshing for some genres that are in need of a bit of a shakeup. There's definitely a lot more to this record than might meet the eye at first, and as I'm listening to it more, I'm having a good time just kind of peeling back its crazy little layers. I'm feeling a decent 2 strong 8 on this one. Transition, have you given this record a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Feeble Little Horse, forever.